Good morning, my students. I'm Mr. Ahmed Hilal, and today we'll start the second term curriculum, inshallah. This is Unit 1, and this is Lesson 1. It's called Chemical Combination. As we know, this is a chemistry, okay? This is in the first unit, we study chemistry science. And now let's start. By the end of this lesson, all students shall be able to define all types of elements, identify all types of elements, and differentiate between types of elements. And we have some keywords like metal, non-metal, noble gas, malleable. Now let's watch this video and back again to our lesson.
Hello friends! Today we'll learn about materials, metal and non-metal. Do you know the ball you were playing with is made up of a non-metal? The materials present around you are grouped widely into metals and non-metals. You started an assignment on this topic. Great! Let me make it easier for you. At first, let's see what metals are. Yeehaw! Like these metal bars, those materials which possess the characteristic of being hard, malleable, shiny, fusible, ductile, etc. are called metals. For example, iron, gold, aluminium, copper, etc. Let's see the physical properties of metals. Come with me. Malleability. It allows the metals to be beaten into thin sheets. Due to the presence of this property, the shape of aluminium wire and iron nail can be changed on beating. Conductivity. It allows the heat and current to pass through the metals easily. Metals like iron and copper wire are good conductors of electricity. Sonorous. Due to this property of metals, produces ringing sounds on hitting. Lustrous. Because of this property, metals shine and their structures are capable of reflecting incident light. Ductility. This property allows the metals to be drawn into the wires. Metals like copper and aluminium wires are used in electric connections. Let's see some uses of metals. Metals are generally used in building machines, automobiles, airplanes, and cars, etc. Some metals like copper are used in making wires. Silver and gold are used for making ornaments. Now the non-metals. Those materials which do not possess the characteristics of metals are known as non-metals. Few examples are sulfur, carbon, phosphorus, and oxygen. Now the physical properties of non-metals. Brittle or soft. The solid non-metals are brittle or soft as they can be broken down into a powdery substance on tapping down. Examples are coal and sulfur. But you know, diamond is an exception. It is the hardest non-metal. They are bad conductors of electricity and heat, except graphite. Non-metals may be either in solids, liquids, or gaseous state. They do not possess metallic luster and are not sonorous, as they do not produce any ringing sound. Non-metals possess no malleability, and they are not ductile. And now the use of non-metals. Oxygen, which is necessary for all living beings to survive, is a non-metal. Nitrogen and phosphorus are used as fertilizers to increase the growth of plants. Some non-metals like chlorine are used for water purification. Now, you know a lot about metals and non-metals. Stay tuned for more videos. Bye-bye.
Okay, now we have finished the video. Let me ask you a question. Okay, now all of us know that elements are classified into metals and non-metals. And today we'll study also noble gases. Now, iron nail is metal or non-metal? Yes, metal. And pencil is metal or non-metal? Yes, non-metal. Excellent. Okay, now we can say that we have 118 elements that's classified into metal, non-metal, mobile, inert, gas. In this session, we will study the physical and chemical properties of metal and non-metal and mobile gases. First, you'll study metals, okay? And as we can see, this is metals, okay? Metal, they are elements which contain 1, 2, or 3 electrons on the outermost energy level, okay? Like this, we have 2, you remember the electric configuration, 8, 1. If we have 1 or 2 or 3 in the outermost energy level, okay, this is metals. This is what? Metals. Okay. So again, metals, they are elements which contains 1 or 2 or 3 electrons on the outermost energy level or less than 1 4 electrons. Okay. Now we will talk about the properties of metal. Metals contains less than 4 electrons, as we said, 1 or 2 or 3 in the outermost energy level. They are solids except mercury. Okay, this is so important to know that all metals are solids except mercury. This is the only liquid metal. This is so important. You find it many times and choose the correct answer and complete. Okay, so again, all metals are solid except mercury. It's the only liquid metal. They have metallic luster. Metallic luster, shiny, like this. They are shiny. Okay? They are good conductors of heat and electricity, as we saw in the video. So we can use it in making utensils, in the pots or pans, and we can use it in the electric wires because they are good conductors of electricity. They are malleable or ductile. What they mean by malleable or ductile? If you have a look to this GIF, you'll understand what the means of malleable and ductile. So we use metals to make cars and machines because we can form it and make shapes, many shapes, because they are malleable and ductile. Now we will talk about the behavior of atoms of metal during the chemical reaction. As we said, metals contain, yes, 1, 2, or 3 electrons in the outermost energy level. Here in sodium atom, 11, we will make the configuration 2, 8, 1. So the outermost energy level has 1 electron, so this is metal, yes. As we said in the previous term, that if the outermost energy level was saturated with electrons, this is inactive atom. And if it is unsaturated or uncompleted with electrons, this is active metal. The outermost energy level won a complete number of electrons in it. So here, if we have 1 electron in the outermost energy level, it's easy to lose this electron or gain 7 electrons to complete the outermost energy level. Yes, it's easy to lose 1 more than gain 7. So it loses the outermost energy level and becomes what? It becomes a positive ion. What? Positive ions. Okay. What are the positive ions? What are the positive ions? Let's know together. Here, as we said, the atom has a neutral charge. Because if you remember, the number of positive charged particles, protons, equal the number of negative charged particles, neutrons or electrons. Here we will lose an electron. We will lose an electron. We will lose a negative charge. So the charge will be positive. Okay, so it changes to a positive ion. It has a positive charge. Okay? So here the metals lose the electrons of outermost energy level to complete the outermost energy level with electrons. Okay? And it becomes positive ion because the number of positive protons become more than the number of negative electrons. What is the positive ion? It's an atom of metallic, okay? It's an atom of metallic element that loses electron or more than electron during the chemical reaction. So here metals changes to or becomes positive ion because they lose the outermost energy level electrons. And now let's talk about non-metals. They are the opposite of metals. They are elements which contains 5, 6, or 7. Okay, could you tell me the number of electrons and metals outermost energy level? Yes, I can hear you. 1, 2, or 3. Here in non-metals, 5, 6, or 7 electrons. Okay, good. And now let's talk about the properties of non-metals. Okay. First, they contain more than 4 electrons. As we said, they contain 5, 6, or 7 electrons. Who can tell me metals contain how many electrons and the outermost energy level of metals? Yes? Yes, less than 4 electrons. 1, 2, or 3. In non-metals, 5, 6, or 7 electrons. More than 4 electrons. Okay, some of them are solids and the others are gases, except the bromine, which is the only liquid non-metal. In metals, we said that metals are solids. All metals are solids, except what? Yes, mercury is the only liquid metal. Here we said they are solids or gases, except bromine, the only liquid non-metal, and this is so important. Mercury is the only liquid metal, bromine is the only liquid non-metal, this is so important. Okay, they have no luster. They have no, as we can see, they have no luster. Okay, they are bad conductors of heat and electricity, except graphite. Okay, so we can use them as insulators of electric wires. They are not malleable and ductile, brittle, in the opposite of metals. As you can see, that's brittle. This means brittle. Okay, now let's talk about the behavior of atoms of nonmetals during the chemical reaction. We said that the outermost energy level contains more than 4 electrons, 5, 6, or 7. Here, this is the chlorine atom 17. Okay, if you make the configuration 2, 8, 7, do you think it's easy to lose 7 electrons or gain 1 electron? Yes, it's easy to gain 1 electron. Okay, as we know, the charge of atom is neutral. So do you think if it gains 1 electron, a negative charge, so the charge of all the atom will be, yes, negative. So it becomes a negative ion. Okay. Here we said is that they gain electrons to complete the outermost energy level. Non-metal become positive or negative? Yes, negative ions. Why? Because it gains one electron, so the number of positive protons become less than the number of negative electrons. What is the negative ion? The negative ion, they are, or it is the atom of non-metallic element that gains an electron or more than during the chemical reaction. Positive to the atom of metallic element that loses. Here in negative, non-metallic, and it gains. So when it gains one electron, negative electron, the number of negatively charged particles, electron, becomes more than number of positively charged particles, protons, so they become negative ions. Generally, here we'll talk about the ion, okay, and the atom of element that loses. If it loses, it becomes a positive ion, or gains. If it gains, it becomes negative ion, an electron or more than during the chemical reaction. So here, when he asked you write the scientific term and say the atom of element that loses or gains, both the ion, okay. Metallic element loses. This is positive because the number of positively charged protons becomes more than the number of negatively charged particles. It loses one electron or more than, and if we say that the non-metallic element that gains electron or more than during the chemical reaction, it will be a negative ion because the number of negatively charged particles, electrons, becomes more than number of positively charged particles. And finally, we will talk about the noble gas. Okay, what are the noble gases? They are elements which don't participate in any chemical reaction. Why? In ordinary condition. Why? Due to the completeness of their outermost energy level with electron. This is give reason. This is an important give reason. They are inactive. Why inactive? Because the outermost energy level is saturated with electrons. It don't need to lose or gain electrons to complete the outermost energy level. Actually, it's saturated with electrons. And we have many examples of noble gases: helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon. Okay, now let me ask you a question. Write the electronic configuration of each of the following atoms and then indicate the type of atom and the type of the ion. Okay, now let's see. We have sodium 1123. We will make the electronic configuration on the atomic number below the sample. The number of positively charged particles, the protons, equal number of electrons. Yeah, we have here 11 electrons, 2, 8, 1. The outermost energy level contains 1 electron, so it's, yes, metal. It's easy to lose 1 or gain 7. Yes, lose 1, so it loses 1 electron and become positive ion. Yes. Here we will talk about the oxygen 8. The electronic configuration 2, 6. Okay, 2, 6. It's easy to lose 6 or gain 2 to complete the outermost energy level. Yeah, it's easy to gain 2 electrons, 2 negative charges. So first, it's non-metal because it contains more than 4 electrons in the outermost energy level. It contains 6. Okay, and this is non-metal, so it gains 2 electrons and become negative ion. Yes, it becomes negative ion because it gains 2 negative charges. Here in neon 10, 2, 8. Okay, the outermost energy level is saturated or completed with electrons, so it doesn't need to lose or gain, so it's a noble gas. it has no ion because it won't lose or gain electrons. And now this is the time for evaluation, and my question gave reason for. Some metals used to make cooking pot because they are malleable and ductile, become forms from it, and they are good conductors of heat. Both sodium ion and oxygen have the same number of electrons. Let's see. Here we have the sodium, Na11, make the electronic configuration 2, 8, 1. Okay, and we have oxygen, O8, make the electronic configuration 2, 6. Here we are talking about the oxygen or the sodium atom, 281. It's a metallic atom, so it's easy to lose 1 electron or gain 7 electrons to complete the outermost energy level. Yeah, to lose 1 electron, so it will lose these electrons and become a positive ion that contains how many atoms or how many electrons? 2 and 8 equal 10 electrons. Okay, here in oxygen 2, 6, it's easy to gain 2 electrons or lose the 6 electrons in the outermost energy level. Yeah, it's easy to gain 2 electrons. So when it gains 2 electrons, okay, it will take -2 charge because it gains 2 electrons. Here, when it takes 2 electrons, 2 plus 6, it will be 8, because it gains 2 electrons to complete the outermost energy level. So the number of electrons will be 10. So here 10 electrons, here 10 electrons. So could you tell me the answer? Yes, because sodium loses an electron while oxygen gains 2 electrons to complete the outermost energy level with electrons, and the number of electrons in each atom equal 10 electrons. Okay, number 3, 1, the atom lose an electron or more than it become positive ion. Yes, why? Because here the number of positive protons becomes higher than the number of negative electrons. Now this is the time for evaluation. Make a pause for the video and scan the QR code. Finally, here we can say that we have 118 elements that divided to or classified to metals, non-metals, and noble or inert gases. In this session, we discussed metal, non-metal, and noble and inert gases. Okay, we have the next lesson keywords. Repeat after me: chemical bond, ionic bond, covalent bond. And we have to-do list. Watch the session another time, read the material of the lesson, and solve the homework sheet. See you next session. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.